Hey, Jeff here, and in today's episode of Reality Renovision, we're going to go on a house tour, and we're going to be talking to the homeowners about different ideas for remodeling versus renovating their house, and all the different budgets and options that are involved so that they can make intelligent decisions about investing in their home to get a return on that investment, but also to increase their quality of life and the different effort that it's going to be taking to go from where they are to what they could have to maybe what they should have, and ultimately the big plan dream, right? If we got everything and start over. So let's get going. There's gonna be a lot of questions and a lot of answers in this video that'll help you make decisions for your house too. That's a big rodent. Renovator 1, bathroom nothing. Here's the secret weapon.
Better to learn how to do this yourself.
Look at the water damage here. Oh, this is where it gets interesting. Oh yeah! That is crazy. Look at this.
That is fantastic.
This is not even 4 feet wide. Now this is a 1980s house, and the homeowner's been doing some remodeling. They've done the front porch and they've done a shed and the back deck, and you're probably gonna see some of these videos and projects in future episodes. But what we're gonna do today is do an interior tour because they're under construction here, tackled a couple projects, but they got a ton of great ideas that they wanna run by me. So let's go say hello. Okay, well, we are here with my buddy Max. Now, Max, he's kind of the audio-visual expert behind the channel of our DIY series. So if you're not familiar with that, you should check out the link below to learn how to do things. But here today, we're talking about why to do things, the choices that you make, right back down to which house to buy. So Max, why don't you tell the viewers real quick about your first home buying experience and the decisions that went into helping you decide to get this one?
Yeah, so welcome to my home. This is our first house. My wife and I, we bought it just over 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Going to 3 years, sorry.
It's exciting.
And when we were first buying a house, we were looking at a bunch of different homes, and we quickly learned that we couldn't afford what we wanted.
Right, well, the mortgage rules in this country are difficult.
Yeah.
Right, if you own a business, then it's almost next to impossible unless you've been at it for a long time to, be approved for certain value of a home.
Yeah, exactly. And it was difficult, so what we learned very quickly that all we can afford is either a nice, very, very small house, like maybe like a condo unit or something like a semi-detached.
Yeah.
But as a single family home, we couldn't afford it. So what we had to do was buy a fixer-upper.
Right.
Now, 2 years ago, if you were talking to me and I was even considering a fixer-upper, I actually wouldn't consider it because I had no experience. So prior to doing these videos, at that point, we had been shooting for about a year.
Right.
I had gathered enough knowledge just from watching Jeff do these projects that I said, well, I can do this, I can do that. And it started with just very basic projects, and it gave me the confidence to actually do some of the projects around the place. So when we were looking at a house that needed everything, it was intimidating, but when we broke it down to every room, it really quickly became apparent these aren't really renovation projects, they're remodeling projects.
So up to this point, you've been remodeling.
Exactly.
Right? And so the difference, let's just go through that real quick. Remodeling is when you are changing the finishings and the look of a room. Renovating is when you are changing the size or the function of a room. You're moving walls, affecting your mechanical. As long as you leave all your walls in place and you're working in the confines of the footprint, then you're just remodeling. So that's basically paint, trims, and flooring.
Yeah, and that's really all we did. There was a few other things we did, but beyond that, not really much. But the difference, the before and afters were quite spectacular. We were really happy to have a clean place because before it wasn't a clean place.
Right.
So it was always functional. It just wasn't, I guess it wasn't very inviting. So we kind of wanted to do it. So we did a lot of projects around the house. And I think they turned out quite good, and for what the cost was, we were pretty happy with it.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about the rest of the house, because I know you've tackled the living room area.
Yeah, so we can talk about the living room.
You've done a rustic modern thing in there, and that's pretty cool. You've changed a lot of the flooring, done a lot of painting. Now the main floor of the house, the dining area, the kitchen, you have plans.
There still are plans, and I think later on you can take me through some of my options, because I have a couple questions in terms of what I could do here, what my options are, and to get the most value out of the renovations, basically, or in this case, remodels, because they're not actually renovations. I'm not going to be ripping anything open, just adding a little, a little bit of little touch.
You see, for me, when I'm dealing with the kitchen, though, I love to take at least look at the option of ripping things open.
Oh, the kitchen we're doing for sure. I'm talking about this room, because this room is quite boring.
This room is functional and it's all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with the living room, as you can see before, the living room was quite boring. It was that 1980s construction. There was no lighting. That was our first problem.
Yeah.
It was very, very dark, so it was very tough to see. and the fireplace looked kind of boring. So what we did is we just did a finishing a very simple rock face.
Yeah, so
some
we've
ledge
done
stone.
a remodel here because this is kind of a cool backsplit kind of option.
Absolutely.
It's a bit of an open concept. I love the way that you've just warmed it up and made it really charming and enduring and brought a lot of light in. That was brilliant.
It worked out, and I think in terms of the lighting, we did get an electrician. I can't say I did that because I just wasn't comfortable with that skill level.
Yeah, sure.
You teach to do a lot of basic skills, and although electrical could be basic, if you don't feel comfortable, unfortunately I don't, we did hire an electrician for that, and we are happy with the results, and it was definitely worth it. But the project came in just under $1,000.
Right, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
Because remodeling a house, one of the key factors you want to keep in mind is, I don't want just things clean and boring. I need a wow factor moment. So when people are walking through, they go, oh, I love this room.
Well, that was our inspiration, because the way we looked at the project was not what do I like, but what would people like if we were selling it. I know it sounds kind of weird because it's almost like going to the future, but if we do renovations that are so specific to our needs or our likes, I guess you could say, some people might not like it. So we try to go safe. We did pick a style, and we're trying to have that style throughout the whole house.
Okay, so that was my next question. Are you going to take that kind of rustic modern look and bring it through the rest of the house?
Absolutely. So we'll go talk about the bedroom right now, which we kind of did, so I'll show you that right now.
Okay, let's go talk.
So this is the bedroom, and
Right on.
obviously you've seen it because we've done a time lapse here before, this whole project.
Yeah, I've never seen it in person.
That's true.
This is cool.
And originally, this room was carpet.
Yep.
It had closet doors, but they were falling out. They had wallpaper on them.
Okay.
And the stippled ceiling, that's what they had.
So that was the style throughout the house.
That's right.
Okay.
Originally we moved in, we did the floors, we painted, and we got rid of the closet doors. We kept it really simple.
Yeah.
And then after 2 years, we had to take it 2 steps further because what happened was all the tape on the ceiling started cracking.
Yes.
All of a sudden we got holes, we see the attic, there's spiders coming in. It was, it was really nasty.
Yep.
So what we just did was we just basically scraped it all off, refinished it. Very, very simple.
Yeah,
But
no, then you took the idea that I gave you of doing the crown molding.
Yeah, so Jeff actually told me, he said, rather than retape the corners, do the crown molding. So that's why we put crown. I didn't really like crown at the time, but I'm pretty happy with it. I think it completes the room. Was it a good choice using the materials that I did? I used vinyl and I have closet doors. Were those good choices, or should I have done something differently? And for viewers at home, what are their choices if they want to remodel the bedroom?
Here comes the brutal honesty, right? Well, first of all, I love the headboard idea.
Okay.
Right, that was kind of cool. I like the fact that you went with the crown molding to solve your problem with the tape joint in the corner. A lot of the homes built in that time period had problems with malfunctioning mud.
Yeah.
And so the joints would come open.
Okay.
That combined with there was a change in construction at that time, so the vapor barriers weren't consistent room to room to room, and so there were condensation points in corners of long walls.
Okay.
Right? So that was very common to have the corners peeling up. So putting in a crown molding solves that because it's just a cosmetic issue.
Right.
Now, I think personally, maybe all the detail with the rope and the dentals might have been a little overkill. Maybe a little more modern look might have been cool, but the rest of the room design works with it, so whatever. I guess personal choice, right?
I was gonna say, my big question is, this renovation was pretty inexpensive. It was, except the doors cost a little more. Is it even worth putting these type of doors in if someone wants to renovate on a budget?
Okay, so if you're renovating on a budget, right, and you had floor to ceiling doors, you can get replacements.
Okay.
And it'll look just like every other house in the world.
Fair enough.
It'll make it functional.
Okay.
But having something, again, that wow factor, right? If you're looking at down the road for resale, it's a huge issue.
Okay.
So you can weigh that out for the cost benefit on it. If you're going to put in these doors and as a result you can't buy good quality flooring, I would suggest make sure you get good quality flooring.
Fair enough. And that was my next question, is we used a vinyl plank floor.
Yeah.
Now, the vinyl plank has come a long way since we started doing videos. What are your opinions on vinyl plank flooring in bedrooms?
That's true. So vinyl plank, man, 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
Versus now?
Yeah.
It's like night and day.
They've really
It's
changed.
Huge. So now there's a much higher quality, a lot more thickness involved. The one thing you lost when you put in your vinyl is you lost a lot of sound transmission control.
It's a huge issue in the house.
The carpet and the underpad would be eating a lot of the sound, getting rid of the impact noise. And now with just vinyl, you've got direct impact noise going downstairs.
Well, that's the thing. When someone's upstairs and you're downstairs, it sounds like rhinos up here. And I wish I had known this before. Unfortunately, I don't know if I just recommend just putting vinyl down. And since it's not a wet area, is it even worth really putting vinyl down? Should I have gone with a laminate with an underpad? What were my options there?
Well, first of all, most people that put in laminate with an underpad are not putting in an underpad that absorbs sound.
Okay.
And so it's a harder surface and actually is worse for sound transmission.
Are there different types of underpads that could have a solution to that, basically?
Yes, there are. Like most flooring, they have underpads for condominium rules.
Okay.
Right? So if you're in a where you have neighbors below you, and it's a situation where you're going to be renting or owning a space, and it's connected to other floors, the industry does have standards for underpads that absorb sound.
Okay.
So they have that for vinyl or for traditional laminate.
Okay.
But you can go even beyond that, okay, and you can get actual sound absorption mass vinyl on a roll, and that can solve your problem. So I know the floor is down. You do have the option to move all your furniture, lift the floor, put down your sound pad, and then put the floor back.
That's awesome.
Because vinyl doesn't get destroyed the same way laminate does when you take it up.
Okay, so I can reapply it. I can
You
just remove
can
this.
disengage it and then re-engage all the locking system again.
Okay, so that's an option.
So that's definitely an option.
And my last question was actually the bathroom. The bathroom was finished when we moved in. All we did was add a coat of paint.
Sure.
Should we have done anything else? Is there anything we can do to increase the value? Is it even worth it?
For bathrooms?
Right.
Wow. Let's just talk rules of bathrooms. If it's clean and it's functional and it's not moldy, the only reason you want to do anything in the bathroom is because you think it's ugly.
Okay.
Which is a personal choice issue.
Right.
You might want to change the functionality based on specific needs, like go from a tub to a walk-in shower.
Right.
So that could be aging at home ability, the ability to step over the edge of the tub.
Okay.
That can affect the need for a remodel.
Right.
But you're a young, healthy guy.
Yeah.
So
should be okay for now.
I would say you're probably just fine as long as everything is functioning and it's not falling apart on you.
But there's no return in making it any nicer.
Not really.
Not really.
You know, like you have to really step it up and make it spectacular before you're going to get a return investment.
Okay. That's
my basic rule in a house is if you're remodeling and you're doing it for the intention of selling it down the road,
that's what we're kind of thinking.
right?
Yeah.
Then it can't be a detractor.
Okay.
You don't want people doing a house tour and going, "Oh, what a letdown."
Yeah.
Right? So that really is the only thing you got to be concerned of. So do the rest of the renovations through the house or remodeling,
Yes.
right? And then bring people in who've never seen the house before. Bring in a real estate agent, have them do a tour.
Okay.
And if the real estate agent does say, "Why didn't you touch the bathroom? It's disgusting."
Yeah.
Right? Then you're good to go.
Okay, perfect. So the upstairs is all done. We did all the rooms. We've fixed the ceiling ever. We actually did a lot of work in the basement as well, which is kind of our domain.
Right.
So let's go down there and just talk about some of those things. So the basement was renovated a lot, as you're very familiar with it because you've been here many times.
Yeah. Well, this is the editing suite for the channel, right? This is cool.
For anybody that likes the Home Renovision DIY channel, this is where all the action happens. This is where we edited and all the episodes and everything. Everything's been done down here.
Yeah.
All these years. So, as you can see, it didn't look like this before. There was a lot of changes.
It was just a ugly hallway.
That's pretty much what it was.
And no heat.
No heat. No, that's right. This was cold. It wasn't very functional. When we were buying the house, I actually was drawn to this room, even though it looked so nasty.
Right.
I remember I had a tape measure with me, and I was checking for dimensions. I said, I could put an office here.
Yeah.
And even my real estate agent was like, I don't know about that. My wife for sure was, she said, there's no way you could put an office. It's too small. But after I did the measurements, we added a door.
Right.
It actually started looking like an office, and it's been great.
Well, as soon as you put the door in, it got rid of the hallway feel.
Yeah.
Right? And it's more than wide enough.
Absolutely.
And so it functions real well for you and all your storage.
Yeah.
Right? And that makes sense. And it's just a remodel, right? It's paint, flooring.
It was very simple.
Brought some heat rundown.
We brought some heat to the floor. There was no heat before, so what we did was just add an extra duct, and voila.
This is awesome. I think the before and after of this particular space is going to really be, it's a dramatic change, but it's such a simple program.
Absolutely.
Right? And this is the kind of thing, when you're looking at a house, if it looks ugly, it's just because it looks ugly. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it.
Right.
Because the house value is not really in the finishings unless you buy expensive finishings.
Right.
The value is in location, the structure, and what is it like as far as performance throughout all the different seasons of the year.
Right.
And that's one recommendation for renovation that you have before you invest time and money remodeling.
Right.
Take a look. Feel free to stay in your house for 1 full year so you know your home. Where are the drafts? What do you think you need to open up and investigate? What are the problems, right? Before you start spending money, take 1 year. It's kind of like whenever we do a major renovation for a home, we have always a 1 year warranty on the work because it's always 4 seasons. And every season affects a home just a little bit differently. So that's probably the best advice I have. Before you spend a lot of money, know your home.
You're right about that, because the funny thing is the first year I didn't have heat to the floor. And what happened, this was such a cold room, I was editing and my hands were just freezing. So since I edit all year long, it gets really, really cold here in the winter.
And a little space heater wouldn't solve that problem.
No, so that's why the door and the heat to the floor really helped. So really happy with the performance. The other thing about this place, it's a house, it's not an office.
Right.
It's nice to have an office here, but I still live here. So one of the things I have, like everyone else, is a laundry room, and it's just back there. Now, when we bought it, my wife wouldn't even go in there, so I did laundry for literally a good year before we did it.
Right.
Would you recommend finishing a laundry room like that that's so open, or is there really any value in that?
You know, it's funny because for years and years and years, the construction renovation business was governed and designed by primarily men. Mm-hmm. And they had no consideration for laundry. It was always in the basement, next to a furnace, tucked away in an ugly space, under a crawl space. There was never any consideration of it.
It was quite nasty.
And I remember as a kid, when we started flipping homes with my parents, my mom was always the first thing she would mention is, where's my laundry and is it going to be pretty? Because I had 2 brothers, right? So she spent a lot of time doing laundry.
Right.
Back in those days, machines were slow too. So,
right.
So yeah, I mean, it's a real consideration. So nowadays, the world is changing. Thank God, finally, we have more and more women involved in the designing and building processes.
Right.
So you're going to see laundry rooms in newer homes on the upstairs. They're going to have their own room. It's going to be well lit, lots of space, countertops. But if you're having an old house, you aren't going to get that.
No, it's tucked in a crawl space somewhere.
It's something to consider. If you could buy a laundry room, it's probably going to be cold in the basement.
Right.
Great place to put in tile with radiant heat.
Right.
Put in some walls in the ceiling. Just clean it up, right? And then you don't have to relocate all your mechanical.
Right.
And that's what you did here. You just put in walls and ceiling and a floor.
That's all we did, nice and simple.
And as long as it's clean and tidy,
right,
it's a winner. And you're going to get great return on your investment.
Okay, that's great. So we're happy that we did that. We didn't know if we're actually going to get a return on investment. If I was to sell this house, do you think it's a selling feature? Is there any benefit in terms of trying to sell the home with having a finished laundry room versus having an open laundry room?
Yeah, for sure. So when you're selling your house, remember you're not competing with every home in the city. You're competing with the neighborhood because people are in your neighborhood because of a price point. So generally when you go talk to your real estate agent, you'll be saying, this is my situation, here's my price point. And they'll say, so you have to buy in an old 1970, 1980 home. Right. It's going to be a fixer-upper. They're going to traipse these people through a bunch of different homes that all have an unfinished laundry.
They all did in this area.
Now they're going to come through your house and go, finally a laundry room. Okay. So it becomes a huge selling feature. And it was a couple $100 worth of labor.
$100. There's not much really there at all.
There you go. So definitely worth the investment.
Okay, so that's great. We've pretty much covered the whole inside the house, but we've actually done some stuff outside the house. So maybe let's go talk about some of those projects right now.
Right, and then I'm dying to have the conversation about what you're planning on doing in the kitchen and dining room.
Absolutely, we'll get to that.
Because upstairs is just a complete mishmash of ideas.
Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities, so I'm actually going to see if you have any suggestions, because right now I'm not really sure what my options are. Okay. So maybe we'll do that.
So we're going to go outside?
Yeah, let's go outside.
So we're going to go outside and talk about, is it worth spending money on your property versus the home?
Okay, let's go find out.
Beautiful.
So the deck has been restored.
Yeah.
And it's been about a year since we've done it for the second time.
It looks great. I love the way that semi-transparent stain helped. So originally I told Max to use a Thompson's waterproofing. It's just a penetrating sealer, preserve the wood. And after the first year, it did that job, but it was just unattractive because the wood was so old. Right. So then what we did is we upgraded to a sealer that had a tint. Right? It's not a semi-transparent stain as much as a sealer with a tint. And it's an Olympic product, I think it was.
Yeah.
And that looks great. You're probably still going to get a few more years out of that application.
Now that product says 3 to 5 years.
Yep.
I'm not sure how long it'll actually last.
Well, you got full sun, so it's really hard to know.
But We got a full year out of it. It didn't fade. We were quite happy. And then what you had also recommended was using a different type of paint. There is a weather guard paint made by Dulux.
Right. Exterior paints are a crazy quality nowadays.
That's what the railings are.
All the railings are that. And so here's the situation. You've got a great, huge outdoor living space.
Right.
And if you maintain that space and just try to stretch out the lifespan of it, then adding another 5 years, or that's great. Then it's a renovation you can do later on after you've done all your interior, and you can restore all this and go brand new again. But there's a huge investment.
Well, this paint, it's not normal paint. You can't just go to the box store and get this paint. This is you said it was a special paint. It lasts, what, 20 years, something like that?
Oh, yeah.
Did you want to talk about the product?
If you want to get good quality products for finishing your exterior, then generally you can't go to the box stores. You've got to go to your local paint store and talk to the professionals there. They have products there that are industrial rated that outperform anything on the shelf at your local box store.
Okay, well, we're really happy with the results. Now, we had done some other stuff here. This project, there's no sheds on this property.
Right.
So we built one shed. Well, sorry, I built one shed, and it was just one of those metal ones, and it was a
put
pain in the
together
butt.
the kit, right? Yeah.
The kit, we got it from the box store, and it just doesn't perform as well as we wanted to. So you had a second option.
Yeah. Well, we talked about building a shed for you.
And you did.
Right.
So maybe let's go check it out and talk about that.
All right, so we're gonna go take a look, because I haven't seen how it's performed, because we did this last year.
Yeah, it's been over a year since we completed
So now
it.
I'm dying to see how my recommendations worked out,
Okay.
because now we've done that full year, full life cycle.
Right.
I want to see. Let's
All
go
right,
take a peek.
Let's go take a look. So the shed,
Yeah, this is in great shape.
pretty much the way you left it a year ago. I don't think anything's changed here. Everything looks exactly the same.
Still staying nice and dry inside.
Nice and dry. Nothing's wet. All this stuff is dry.
Brilliant.
There's no cracks in the concrete
Well,
pad.
this is the secret, right? I mean, when you seal up the bottom with the polyurethane caulking,
right.
and then you paint over top, you get such a perfect seal.
And the paint, this is the same product that we used on the other deck. You actually told me to get this paint.
Yeah, the exterior, yeah, this stuff's amazing. It's like almost bulletproof.
Right.
Brilliant. I want to know, how full is it in there?
It's got a lot of stuff.
Ho-ho! Well, you're completely winterized, right? So this is all your outdoor living furniture and everything else.
Well, right now it's autumn. We had to bring everything inside.
Yeah.
And this is the first year where we actually have space to put everything inside.
So you actually still have access there, and then the door around the side for the lawnmower.
Absolutely.
So even though it's full, it's completely accessible.
Yeah, even in the wintertime. In the summer, we don't have that much junk in there. Right now, we do.
That's awesome, man.
But if I want to take my lawnmower, I can, because we have the cheater door on the side, which you did, and that's a brilliant idea.
So it stays dry when it rains.
Right.
There's no watermarks or rain coming through the roof. Mm-hmm. That's good to know.
It stayed nice
Good
and
to
dry.
know. Yeah.
Now, in terms of doing a project like this,
Yep.
I had done the kit,
Sure.
which is a couple $100. What are the benefits of having a full-size shed that you could build yourself? What are the benefits of that versus buying a kit from a store?
Well, aside from being visually appealing, the time and money you put in a kit versus something like this, it's very relative, right? I mean, you could buy 5 kits for building one of these,
Absolutely.
but this is a lot more fun.
Yeah.
It's permanent. It looks great.
Now, from a selling feature, if I were to sell this home,
Yeah.
is there any benefit where someone might look at this? Is there any benefit of having an actual finished large shed that you did custom, or just having a kit that everyone else has?
Well, first of all, the building code keeps a limitation on the size of a shed without a permit.
Okay.
So when you go to sell your house, if you have something that's inside that dimension, and make sure you check your region, obviously, but if you're inside that dimension, then there's no detractor. And so what you have is a huge outdoor storage space, right?
Okay.
And there's nothing but benefit there, because anybody who owns a house with a yard has got yard equipment and a lawnmower and everything else, and they need a place to put it.
Right.
So having a nice place to put it versus a lousy little shed, yeah, there's definitely a plus.
Now, when we were filming this project,
Yep.
we actually had the fence finished, but I didn't actually have myself do it, and you didn't do it.
That's right.
I had paid a contractor to do it because
Yep.
it was falling apart. Was that a good investment, hiring a contractor to do the fence?
Wow, that's an interesting question. I mean, if you have the skills and ability to do it yourself, then I would probably suggest your best option is to do it in conjunction with your neighbor.
Okay.
If the two neighbors who are sharing a fence build it together, then neither of them can complain about the outcome.
Right.
But since you didn't have that option with your neighbor at the time, building it yourself is an incredible liability to take, because then the other guy could just complain about it.
So it was a good investment for me to pay a contractor to do it professionally rather than me try to figure it out with gas lines and power.
Yeah, definitely, because the other side of this is it looks professional. You don't risk DIYing it without the right understanding.
Okay.
But the biggest issue here is the speed that it was done in.
Right.
Right? And the fact that you can get along with your neighbor now and have that peace and quiet.
Okay. So I'm glad that worked out.
Sometimes DIY, avoiding those conflicts with neighbors is a more important issue than saving money.
Okay. So saving money isn't always the main thing.
It's not always the first priority.
Save the headache sometimes. Okay.
Right?
So that brings us to the last project outside, the front deck.
Yeah.
Now that one was fun. Let's go talk about that one.
Beautiful.
So this is the front of the house.
Well, that just feels so much better than it did the last time.
I'm sure the viewers like this one a lot better than what we had here before.
Right? The last one was so, it just felt like you were going to fall through.
And sometimes you actually would in some areas because it was so soft. Now I used to actually call the deck the Iron Sheik because it would break your back and make you humble. Because when this thing gets wet, you would slide and just land on your back. There's so much algae.
I love
and
the
crap.
old wrestling concept.
I'm a wrestling fan. What can I say?
Wow.
Now, we did this as a part of a project for our channel.
Yeah.
As a homeowner, now I had a deck here before.
Yep.
What is my added value of replacing the deck? Is it even worth it if the other deck was still standing?
Okay, so the other deck was standing and it was ugly.
Right.
And it needed repair.
Big time.
So as a homeowner, buying a house that needs things that are obvious that need repair are detractors from value.
Okay.
So what we did is we restored it.
Right.
Instead of reinvesting and building a brand new structure,
Right.
we got all the value back that was lost from the original situation.
That's right. You actually saved me a lot of money because what we did is we didn't build the whole deck. He actually saved the structure. So Jeff kept the structure. You reinforced
Yeah,
it.
we
You
just
have to level
repaired it and then put a new finish on that was going to last another 20, 25 years.
And that saved a lot of money.
There you go. That's the best way to do it. If you can restore something versus replace it, then you're always way ahead.
So this one's kind of a half and half. By doing this, we were able to save the structure. We did build a new deck, but the cost point was pretty good. So I think it was worth it.
This is a win-win, and it's real pretty from the street. And so adding curb appeal is always a benefit if you're going to be flipping a house.
Yeah. And it's solid as a rock.
It's starting to rain. We better get our butts inside.
So maybe the last
Is that
thing
a rain cloud?
Absolutely. Yeah, we had some funny projects where it would just rain and either a ton of rain or a ton of sun, and it's just
seems like whenever we're outdoors, we're either getting attacked by animals and bugs or it's raining.
yeah. You got to watch the old episodes to see that though. So, anyways, we got the project now. We got the dining room. How are we talking about that?
I can't wait. Let's go ahead and take a look. Rock and roll.
All right. So most of the house is renovated.
Yeah.
This is one of the final rooms, and
Most of the house is remodeled.
remodel. That's right. We didn't renovate anything.
Nah.
So this is one of the last rooms, and now that we've done most of the house, we wouldn't have even looked at this room before, but because everything else is done, it just seems like an eyesore now. Now,
Yeah, that's funny, isn't it? Because when you start remodeling different parts of the house,
yeah,
things you were happy with before you started, it's all on a sliding scale. So this
doesn't
might
work
have been
anymore.
a 7 or an 8 out of 10 room, but now everything else is done. Now this is the 3 or 4.
right.
Yeah, this is what happens. It's like a disease. Once you start renovating, folks, you can't stop.
Yeah, the zombies of renovating
This is awesome.
keep this going. And so I want to do a couple of things here, but I have a couple of problems.
Yes.
My first problem is the flooring is pretty nasty. It's not terrible, but it's very difficult to clean, and there's 3 different types of floor here. We have ceramic,
Yep.
we have some sort of laminate or old school vinyl, I'm not really sure.
This is actually an old school Pergo flooring from IKEA.
Okay,
Yeah.
there's a lot of IKEA stuff in this house, so that makes sense.
Yeah, there you go.
And then we have sticky tile.
Yes.
I had an idea where I want to put plank down,
Okay.
but I'm not sure, can I put it over everything? Is that a possibility, or do I have to rip everything out and start from scratch?
Okay, so first of all, whenever you're putting in a vinyl plank floor, it's a floating floor system.
Okay.
So it just rests on top of whatever's existing.
Okay.
So as long as your doors will function and your transitions are within 1/8 of an inch
Okay.
over a couple of feet,
Right.
you can make those transitions anywhere you want on existing flooring.
Okay.
So you have the option. You could remove the Pergo, you could add plywood and lift it up, but honestly, there's no rule that says you can't just go end to end right over top. As long as you use an underpad
Okay.
to absorb those differences in the height, no matter how minimal they are. And that'll also help to deaden the sound because there's going to be a difference walking over top of tile versus walking over laminate.
And that brings me to my next question. So directly below us is my office.
Right.
That's where I do all the editing.
And so you've learned from upstairs about the vinyl.
Yeah, and usually my wife is at work, but what's happening is we're hoping to start a family. We just got married this year.
Yes.
And if we have kids, just having the dog up here, it's so difficult to do my job. It's so loud. What are my options? Do I have to go and remove the whole ceiling downstairs, or what can I do to deaden some of that sound? Because the footfalls right now are insane.
Okay, so you have two options.
Okay.
One, you can use the soundproofing mat up here.
Okay,
Right?
now what do you mean by
vinyl.
mat?
We can go with a mass vinyl on a roll.
Okay.
Roll it out. That takes care of most of the impact sound.
Okay.
Now, there are still other sounds that are going to translate.
Okay.
It's not a perfect fix.
No.
But you have a drop ceiling in that office.
Yes.
So you can actually buy sound-rated panels to replace the ones you have now.
Okay. So it's not necessarily one thing as the solution, but I have options what I can do, and I can make the layers of sound protection better and better depending how much I want to invest in.
Yeah, so your biggest challenge is you need to have a door. You need a break.
Okay.
Because as long as you have this room, the noise can travel down the stairs and around into the office.
Okay.
Whatever you invest in the floor and the ceiling is not going to solve your problem.
Okay, so I have no door, so I can add a door. I can do the mass vinyl.
Yes.
And putting the actual floor on top, is there any sort of sound protection from putting vinyl on? Is there any sort of level? Does that deaden any of the sound?
Well, vinyl it's a very heavy mass, and so it doesn't really have a lot of noise unless you're wearing shoes.
Okay.
So what you have is impact. It's the heel to toe kind of walking around.
Okay.
And that's what the vinyl mass will take care of. And then all the other conversational noise and music, people cooking, if you just change your ceiling tiles out, a couple $dollars a square foot, that'll do the other majority part of the sound transfer through the floor and ceiling.
Okay.
And then you just buy a solid core door for the top of the stairs, and you'll be good as gold.
So I can still work here while living here, and it could be a pretty active place, and I can still do my job with these solutions.
Yeah, even if the kids are kids, they're going to be making noise and screaming, running around and crying.
Okay.
But if you can get rid of the impact noise,
Right.
and you get a sound-rated ceiling and a solid core door, yeah.
Okay, so for sound, that's great, and that allows me to have vinyl flooring basically everywhere up here. Am I able to make, with vinyl flooring, get rid of the transitions? Can I just make it flow into the other room?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Is that an
because
option?
This is a 1980s house, so you've got walls and halls everywhere, right?
Everywhere. This is crazy.
You have lots of options for transitions if this was a laminate flooring, which you would need, but with vinyl, the expansion contraction rate is almost zero.
Okay.
And I know I get this question all the time, but the reality is the properties of vinyl flooring in a house that has a heating and cooling system, the internal temperature of the home hardly ever changes. So the expansion contraction rate is so small. If you were to go on a scale of 1 to 10, hardwood is a 10. It expands and contracts a lot. Laminate is like a number 8. Vinyl is a 0.5 as far as its capacity to expand and contract. So you can put that anywhere in your home, no need for transitions. And anybody who tells you otherwise is reading literature from the flooring companies who didn't have experience and didn't bother testing the floor. So they went with the same application for laminate as they do vinyl plank. And the reason is a lot of people get confused about what's vinyl, what's laminate. They call vinyl laminate, they call laminate vinyl, so they don't know the difference. So in order to avoid problems with their warranty issues, having a confused public, they've just kept the same installation requirements. But if you're buying a solid core vinyl plank flooring, it does not need transitions.
That's awesome. It's going to look great. I really want to get rid of the 3 different types of flooring. I'm not a big fan of that. I think it would just make the space look much better. And what it's going to do is I really want it to blend with the rest of the living room.
Right.
So we want to do a couple things here that we did in the living room to sort of make it look like one space. One of the main things we're doing is we're going to use the same paint color that we used on the back wall, the blue.
Okay.
But what we're also going to do is we're going to use the same type of stone that we used on the fireplace that you actually helped me install.
Yeah.
We want to put it back here.
You're going to do another stone wall.
But my question is, when I was doing the fireplace, I had to put concrete board. You had recommended getting rid of the drywall, putting concrete board. Do I have to put concrete board here? Do I have to cut it out? How does that work?
Okay, so first of all, we're not talking about renovating or remodeling anymore. Now it's decoration.
Okay.
Right, this is a design element.
Right.
And so you're just creating like a flow, right? Now, the reason I had you remove the drywall and put in cement board on the fireplace is because it goes up over your head.
Right.
And we are in an area that does get the occasional earthquake and tremors.
We are now.
Right? And so The code in the building code requires us that whenever we're going up that high, we have to go to cement board instead of drywall, because the weight of that stone can actually vibrate and pull right off the paper off the drywall, and it becomes a real hazard. So for here, if you're going 4 feet tall, then there's no requirement for that. Okay, so you're going to be fine to just go over the drywall.
Okay, so that's really easy. So I can put down the flooring, put on my wall, and I'm good to go. I don't even need to remove anything?
No, just go straight over top. You'll be just fine.
Okay, that's nice and simple.
You know, if you wanted to, just for a little extra safety, you could take a couple of brick ties.
Okay.
You could screw to a stud in a few locations and bring that into the stone, because that's getting cemented together.
Okay.
And that'll give you a little extra peace of mind, you know, because you're talking about having babies.
Right.
Little critters crawling around.
That's the plan. We'll see how it all goes. And okay, so that's a lot of elements that I could add into this room without really that much work. I'm not ripping open walls or anything.
No, you're talking weekend warrior here, yeah.
And you mentioned, just like we did upstairs, you said getting rid of the stipple and just adding that crown molding. If I do that here, it should look fine too?
Yeah, for sure. Like I'm looking at the damage right now, and it's very typical, right?
Okay.
So you've just got air leak issues. These houses aren't sealed up the same. So you'll never make that pretty.
Okay.
Even if you make it pretty, it's going to come back somewhere else. So
Okay, great.
adding the crown molding will solve all those problems. And then the accent lighting, yeah, for sure. And then that ceiling's been painted. So scraping it's a no-go, right? You're going to be going 3 coats of mud.
Oh boy,
or did you want to put a new ceiling over the old ceiling?
Well, one thing I was trying to avoid was extra costs of adding extra costs obviously, but using tools such as a drywall lift and whatnot. And the ceiling is already so low, I really didn't want to go higher.
You don't want to build it out.
Do you think it's a better idea just to go over 2-3 layers rather than scraping it off and just doing 2 thin coats?
Yeah, skim coating is generally a better idea, because scraping a painted ceiling, it's
gonna be very
you're going to do
difficult.
3 coats anyway.
All right, so I think that's a work cut out for me, but you know what? Even with that, I do feel more confident. I think we're just going to finish off not just this area. We're going to do the whole. We're going to do the hallways, the entrance. We're going to put some closet doors on, and that leads me to my final question.
Yes.
We have no closet doors anywhere here because they were all just so mangled.
Right.
If I am doing a raised floor where I'm putting down potentially a mass vinyl and a vinyl flooring,
Right.
what happens with the typical closet door size? Will it still fit if I go and buy closet doors of that dimension?
That's the $1 million question. Now, most doors in the way of bifolds or even the sliding track doors, they are adjustable. So they have a range.
Right.
So you want to take that measurement that you have floor to ceiling now, take it into the store when you go shopping, and double check the range.
Okay.
And also make sure your floor is level.
Okay.
Okay. Especially if you're in an older home. Here you look like you're going to be fine. But as long as the range of operation is still inside the footprint that you have, you're going to be fine. And that information will be right there on the label. I would say in most cases, the flooring that you have in this house is not going to take you above that range.
Okay.
Most of the doors, the range that are set on them are to go from anything from a 1/4-inch plywood with a vinyl sheet good.
It's 6 mil the flooring that we're looking at.
And that's the height. That's the maximum part of the range of the door.
Okay.
And then they're also designed for if you go to tile, where you add another 5/8 plywood plus cement plus tile. Now, I know just by looking at your floor that they didn't do that.
Okay.
Because it's almost the same height as your laminate flooring.
Right.
So the way you check to see what's going on is you can take out your grate and you can look at your layers. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now in this particular case, they've actually come along here with a layer of plywood and then added this laminate. So I know that you're getting near the full extension of the capacity of a door, because a door is going to be designed for flooring up to about 1.25 inches in total width. So if you add your vinyl and you're still within 1.25 inches, most likely your door systems are going to function within that.
So that's a really cool trick.
Yep.
Helps me establish my height and my options. Now, before I go into this renovation, do you have any other tips that you want to give me before I get started?
Yeah, well, I got a couple. Actually, one is at the door.
Okay.
Pick up a piece of shoe molding to cover the transition from your flooring to your door, and that'll get rid of the need of having a gap that collects dirt or using caulking.
Okay.
Okay, and that'll tie everything together. The second one is, old houses like this are famous for having a 2-coat drywall application.
Okay.
And so they put the corner bead on and they go 2 quick coats and it looks great. They paint, they give it to you white, and they say, here you go. Unfortunately, it always looks like junk. You can always see the corner bead translate through the paint. So just
I
adding
can see
another
it sticking out there.
Right, so you add another coat of paint to that, it's not going to solve your problem.
Okay.
So grab yourself your 10-inch, do another coat of paint, sand it, prime it, then paint your room. and you're going to have a superior finish that is going to just look so amazing.
Well, that's awesome. I think I'm going to take all these tips and tricks that you gave me, all these little nuggets of information, and everything I've learned, and I'm going to apply it to this room. And hopefully I can make it look at least half as decent as some of the rooms you've done.
Well, come on, please. You're going to do great, because the point of what we do is to show people how to get that professional result.
Yeah.
Right? Best advice for working on your own home, start small.
Right.
Right? Tackle a simple project first. Do a simple flooring, a simple paint job, and then kind of work your way up.
Right.
Right? Learn new skills with new tools every time you do a project. Before you know it, you're going to be a master DIYer.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, next time you see this, hopefully it'll be all done.
Thanks, Max. Can't wait to see you, buddy.
Cheers.
All right. Hello. Hey. Oh, check this out. Nice doors. Dude, painted and everything. You got crown up. Hey, Molly, come here, baby. Wow. That is fantastic. Dude, very impressed. All right, let's go see the rest of this house. I'm dying to know how it all transitions. Okay. Better take my shoes off now. Check out the new dining room. Hey, nice. I like the ledge stone. Well done with that. Look at, oh. Right on. They got beams all over the ceiling, continued on from the other room. That really ties everything together, eh? Wow, that is very cool. Well done, Max. That is phenomenal. Well done. Well done. Come here, Molly. I'm going to put you down. You should be on it. Oh, that dog jumps in my arms every time I come here. Okay, Max, so let's go through the project here, because you've been here for 3 years.
Yep.
We've done a few renos. You did a bunch of stuff before you moved in.
Yep.
But now this is the effort to tie together all of the main floor with one flooring.
That's right.
And continue the whole modern rustic look through the house.
Yep.
So
What do we do?
What have you got? Now, talk products here. I'm curious to know what you got it, where you got it from.
So it's kind of funny because I'm pretty sure this place is kind of looking like the Lowe's homeroom right now because it's got a bunch of the products, but
yeah.
Well, you know, when we started in the other room, we really wanted to continue the style into this room rather than just change it completely.
Yeah, this one looks the same. Is that the same brand still?
Same brand, same stone. It was still available.
2 years ago.
That was, 2 years ago. You actually showed me how to put that on.
Right.
On the fireplace. So it's the same as the fireplace. The color, this is actually the same gallon of paint from the other room as well.
Okay.
And we also used it in the bedroom, so that 1 gallon somehow lasted 2 years.
So did all the accent walls.
Yeah, so we had the same color. We didn't have to change the color. And then in terms of the lighting, the chandelier, it's pretty cool. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's part of the same collection.
Well, is your wife a big fan of it?
I don't know. She hasn't seen it yet.
She hasn't seen it yet.
I just put it up this morning.
Okay. So we got to set the camera up to get her reaction when she gets home.
Oh boy. So we bought it. We weren't really sure. This was the last element. I just threw it up and...
well, it's a light fixture. You can always change it if you're not happy.
That's exactly it. We bought it because it was part of the same collection as in the living room.
Yeah.
So we wanted the same thing. And then the beams, that's kind of just like a custom idea. We just had that in mind. We did the exact same finish as the other one.
Right.
We did the...
some of the structural metal elements here and then the epoxy finish.
You actually told me about the epoxy finish, the bar top finish.
Yeah.
So we did the same thing. You showed me this years ago, so I thought it'd be kind of cool. Throw it in. Use the same crown that we used upstairs, so it at least looks pretty similar.
So now it all flows through the whole house.
So now it flows to the house. And then, of course, tying it together with the flooring, which we used Lifeproof flooring.
Okay.
And which is just a vinyl, as you can see, vinyl plank. So it's a Home Depot product. It's not a Lowe's product. It's their main flooring, I believe, for vinyl, and it's a great product. I got to tell you.
Well, you've used this before in that basement video you did, right?
That's right. We've used it in the basement. We have it in this laundry room as well, and it's a pretty good product. So that's why we decided to go with it.
And it's a great tip too for people at home because this flooring it covers 3 different types of flooring. Mm-hmm. So we get this is probably one of the most popular questions we get. Can I put it over this? Can I put it over that? Not only can you put it over flooring, but you can use it to go from one type of flooring to the next as long as they're at the same height.
Right.
So you've transitioned over a floating laminate, a glue down vinyl, and a ceramic that all had the same finished height.
Yeah.
So why not? Because this stuff's relatively thin.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect any of your doors.
Right.
So problem solved, right? Now you've got clean through the whole house.
Yeah.
The whole main floor looks very intentional now.
Right.
Instead of piecemeal. That's got to feel good.
Yeah, but before when you're standing up there, you saw 4 different types of flooring from the room. So
yeah, no kidding.
It was just a little crazy, and as you mentioned, with the lack of expansion contraction due to temperature variations, we're able to go without doing any transitions.
You're surprising me there. You're picking this stuff up as you go along.
Listen once in a while.
That's good stuff. Well done, bud. And way to continue on with the whole flavor and the flow of the house. And making sure that even, some of these spaces can seem small when you chop them up with the flooring, but now it looks so much bigger because there's no more division, right? Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well done, man.
All right, thanks a lot.
Yeah, our pleasure, man.
And thank you for the tips.
Hey, anytime. That's what I'm here for.
Over all those years. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for watching this very special episode. This is a big 3-year project that my wife and our family did together. There's one thing we like to accomplish with this video is to give you the confidence to do your very own project. Now, you don't have to go and renovate an entire house like we did, but start small and just go from there. This is also a very special episode because it's the completion of 10 years of Jeff and I doing project videos. So we're extremely proud and we've had a great time doing all these videos, and thank you for watching. It's also the end of season 3, so thank you for watching season 3. We hope you enjoyed it. But don't worry, season 4 is right around the corner. If you want to watch more of these episodes, season 4 is going to be a little different. A change of direction, a little different style, and more focused on the design aspect rather than the how-to. So if you want to watch it, subscribe right over here and click over here for the first episode of season 4. Start watching the playlist. We hope you enjoyed it. Merry Christmas if you're watching this during the holidays, and have a great New Year.